Hello, students. Hello, everybody. Now, this is the last series of natural hazards, and this is the fifth part of my lecture. I am Dr. Preeti Mathur, Associate Professor, Department of Zoology, SPC, Government College, Ajmer. In this, we will cover natural hazards summary, what all we have studied and what are the causes, what are the main effects, causes, how can we mitigate them. All this we will discuss in this lecture. There are various types of disasters and there are various scale of disaster. We'll also discuss about the aims of disaster management and then the different roles which are role players in disasters. Now we'll also discuss the definitions of vulnerability and disaster preparedness. So let us start with the topic. Now, natural hazards summary. In this slide, you can see there is a graph made. And this graph, students, it is of the number of deaths which occurred from 1980 to 2005. These number of deaths are from 1,000 to 10,000 and then 1 lakh. So this is the graph. In 1980, there came in 1980 and 85, there came a big earthquake in Mexico City where there was a volcano eruption, and then here the city Colombia, it was affected very badly, and you can see the graph. More than 10,000 people died due to this calamity. In 1988, there was an earthquake in Armenia. Here also you can see the number of deaths, it was reaching to 1 lakh. Just little less than 1 lakh. And over here in 1990, you can see there was a typhoon. In 1991, there was a typhoon in Bangladesh side, and the deaths were above 1 lakh. In 1999, flood and mud flows occurred in Venezuela. And in 2000 to 2005, there came a big tsunami in South Asia. And so this is the graph showing the number of deaths per year due to natural hazard events. Now, I can briefly tell you that there are various types of disasters. Some are major natural disasters, some are minor disasters, some are major man-made disasters, and some are minor man-made disasters. Now, first of all, we'll talk about major natural disasters. In this topic, under this topic, flood, cyclone, drought, and earthquake, they all occur. Flood means fast moving water, which can take everything with it. Cyclone, I've already taught you in my last lecture, it is a roundward movement of water. And drought, it is all, there's no rain, that is drought. And earthquake, you already know. So now, minor natural disasters, over here, there are cold waves, thunderstorms, heat waves, mudslides, and storm. Now, major man-made disaster. Man-made disasters is done by men, human beings. And in this, sometimes setting of fires occurs. Epidemic. Third one is deforestation. Fourth is pollution due to prawn cultivation. Fifth is chemical pollution. And sixth are wars. Now lastly, we'll discuss about minor man-made disaster. It occurs due to road and train accidents, riots, food poisoning, industrial disaster or crisis, and finally environmental pollution. Now, the scale of disaster, it depends on lead time available intensity of hazard, duration, spatial extent, density of population and assets, time of occurrence, vulnerabilities existing in the elements at risk, hazard multiplied by vulnerability, which is equals to disaster. On this slide, you can see the elements at risk. That is, firstly, people, livestock, rural housing stock, houses vulnerable, crops, trees, telephone, electronic poles, boats, looms, working implements, personal property, electricity, water, and food supplies. Infrastructure support is the last one.
Disaster.
Now, aims of disaster management. First aim of disaster is reduce or avoid, if possible, the potential losses from hazards. Secondly, assure prompt and appropriate assistance to victims when necessary. Thirdly, achieve rapid and durable recovery. Role players in disasters. People. In that, individuals, households, and volunteers. Secondly, the Gram Panchayat. In it, there are Sarpanch, Panchayati Secretary, Panchayati members. Thirdly, village elders, caste, community, religious leaders, teachers, doctors, engineers, retired army and police personnel. Government departmental officers, that are agricultural, medical, engineers, housing, roads and building, irrigation, all these engineers, then revenue department, public health, police, etc., NGOs. Disaster preparedness. Disaster preparedness aims at minimizing the adverse effects of a hazard through effective precautionary actions and to ensure timely, appropriate, and efficient organization and delivery of emergency response following the impact of a disaster. Now, in preparedness, we can touch these points like vulnerability analysis and mapping to include resources, assess strengthening requirements and execute. Thirdly, funding for preparedness must be arranged. People's cooperation through political leaders, elders, volunteers, and NGOs. Create lead time by interpreting warnings. Plan to include movement of resources with time frame. Aim to reduce the destructive potential of cyclones. Timely and appropriate relief to victims and quick and durable recovery. Now, I thank all of you for patiently hearing me, and I thank you once again. My name is Dr. Preeti Mathur, Associate Professor, Department of Zoology, SPC, Government College, Ajmer. Now, this was my last part of my topic, that was natural hazards. Thank you, students.